right, guys, welcome to another episode of Punch Me in the Face. I have, I was telling my buddy who I was having on as a guest today, and he said, oh, the OG. And I guess you are an OG. But it's actually my father. That original gangster.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a compliment.
Who's that?
It's a compliment. Well, it was Chip. And I was telling Chip, and he was like, he's an OG. Well, it depends on who it is you're saying, if it's a compliment. We don't like many people, so if somebody else you didn't like, you wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, Larry, Mike, my father, say hi.
Hi, how you doing?
You excited?
Yes.
Are you nervous?
I'm nervous.
You're nervous?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to say something stupid or just nervous in general to be on a podcast?
Just nervous in general.
Okay, because beforehand you said for me not to cut you off when you had a thought because you have senility.
Yes.
And then I thought he said sterility. And then I thought it was something else, and I was like, and I actually really shouldn't. But I will say
you did say it.
Well, I did. I said, are you?
You did ask me if I.
Are you talking about? Does that have anything to do with? Yeah, ED.
Okay.
And he was like, and your answer was,
no.
No. How'd you say it?
No.
No, you.
I said, no, I don't have a problem with that.
No, I definitely don't have a problem with that.
No, I don't have a problem with that.
So we clarified that. He's all good. All right. Well, first of all, I really wanted. I'm excited to have you on, and I mean
I'm excited
that.
to be here.
I really am, and we I was reading this about a month ago, and it said every son and father goes through 3 phases in their life, in their dynamic. And I was like, so I was listening, and he said every son idolizes his father for a period of time.
Yep. And
then he demonizes him, and then he humanizes him. I was like, that's actually pretty deep, you know? Yep. And then depending on the circumstances and relationships and, you know, who did what, or if it was good, if it was bad, if it was great, whatever it was. But that happened. So, you know, part of me, you know, it's like somebody asked me the other day, when did you stop drinking? And I said, well, my daughter's 22, so it's 23 years ago. Now, how long you been sober?
Probably 35.
35 years. Yeah. And I don't know if I've ever said this to you. This is a compliment, not a backhanded compliment. It's a compliment. And I said, he said, well, why did you get sober? And I went through all the, you know, stupid shit I did and all that.
Yeah.
And then I said, but you know what? My father got sober. And I was probably still very much in that demonizing phase with you. But it motivated me because I was like, if he can do it. To get sober.
Okay.
Like, if he can do it, and listen, he ain't perfect. I'm not perfect. He can do it. Then hell, I can do it. So it actually motivated me.
Yep.
So I have to thank you for that. And I never said that to you. So that takes me a lot. It's a big deal for me.
Yep.
So, all right. So I want to get to, I always talk to people about like where we are now as a company, where I've gotten to, what I've been through, how much of a grind it's been, and things I've learned along the way and all of that. And I think it's funny because I'll tell people when they say, why don't you drink and use drugs? Like, mostly drink. They don't tend to ask why I'm not using drugs. And I say, you would not want to have met me when I was drinking. For the people that don't believe me, because you tell the truth.
True story.
Always. How would you explain how I was when I was under the influence of alcohol?
You were very bad. You were a terrible person. And probably reminded me a lot about myself, to be honest with you. But no, you would scream at everybody and yell at, especially your brother.
My brother would make me mad.
Yeah, but
he's supposed to do his job.
You were a very bad person when you were drinking.
Was I violent?
Yeah, definitely. I think
only the guys. Yeah. I did beat the shit out of some people.
I agree.
No doubt. So it was bad. It was a horror show.
Yep.
It was a horror show. As our buddy Frank Cozine used to say, there he goes making friends everywhere. Yeah. And I was like, you know what, Frank, what do I care about them for? But I love my friends and my teammates.
Yeah.
My friends and my teammates. Yep. Those are my buddies. You know what I mean? But everybody else.
You still yell at them and stuff. But yes. But
I didn't hit him, but I yell at him. 100%.
Well, I'm not so sure you didn't hit him either. So.
Well, I might have. But I was with J.R. Chaponi the other day.
Yes.
And he said to me, he's like, JR's a great athlete, local guy, super good dude, and great business, peddler, pawn shop. You need to like get something, sell something, go see him. And it's funny. He said, "Man, I remember when y'all like recruited me to come play a game with you in Baltic," and I was like, "Okay." And he said, and your brother's playing shortstop, I'm playing second, you're in left field." And he said the pitcher, he didn't know the dynamic.
Yeah.
He said the pitcher threw a ball. He's like, it's the first ball of the game. Like, it's one pitch. And he said, all I hear is you out in left field, throw a fucking strike. The fuck is wrong with you? Which I'm sure I was drunk because I didn't play any games sober for a while. And he said to my brother, Matt, he's like, what's wrong with him? And he goes, does he not like the pitcher? He goes, no, I don't think he does. So then, like, next inning, he's like, is that your father? He's like, yeah, that's because Matty didn't say much.
Right.
Like, you'd have to ask Matty. You have to interrogate him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't ask Matty one question. He'll be like, yes, no, I don't think he does. You know, and because I remember we were playing the Jimmy.
Well, Matty didn't like me too much either at that point.
Yeah, I understand.
You know,
he probably didn't like where I was either. Listen, we was all fucked up. Like, what are you gonna do? And so he was playing tournament, and one of the guys he was playing against, this dude Mike from Montville, he was like, man, that guy's such an asshole. Matty was like, he is. And then through like 2 games, the guy was like, that's your brother? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I didn't mean nothing by it. He's like, no, he is an asshole. Like, you can say that whenever you want. So
he agreed.
All right. So you were born and raised in Iowa.
Yes.
Okay. And you ended up coming out to Connecticut. Why? Like, walk me through that, because I probably haven't even ever asked you these things. That's weird. I'm 51 years old.
I come out because of the service. I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And I come out, and I was coming out for sub school, which I went through. Mm-hmm. And kind of an interesting story. When I was going through boot camp in Chicago, I was standing in line, and people were like, well, we have to determine where we're going to go. So I said, and 2 guys in front of me, or a couple guys in front of me were like, oh, I want to be on submarines because they have good food. I said, well, shit. I said, I love good food. So, I mean, I'm from Iowa. I mean, that's a delicacy for me. So that's basically how I got out here.
That's how you picked subs.
That's how I picked subs.
Waiting in line.
Waiting in line.
You had no idea what to say. Thank God they didn't say something else, I guess.
I had no idea.
So you got up there in line and said subs.
Yep.
And they said, go out in Connecticut.
Yep.
The first time you got in a submarine, what was that like?
As an 18 or 19-year-old guy, but you just kind of adapted.
Didn't care.
You didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't bother me. I was pretty athletic, not like I am today, but I was pretty athletic back then. So, but getting through the hatches and stuff, that was not a problem.
You didn't mind being underwater,
I
being
did
in
not,
that container.
I did not, you know,
that was fine.
I don't know if I even thought about it.
Got it.
I don't even know if I even thought about the fact that, do I have claustrophobia? Well, you know what? Don't know.
Don't know.
Don't care.
Didn't care.
Didn't ask.
So why the military? Like, when you're growing up, when did you decide I wanted to?
Military, for me, was during the Vietnam War. Yeah. And you had draft. I don't know what my draft number was. I don't know if I had even gone down there. I enlisted in the Navy prior to that. I knew I didn't want to go to Vietnam.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's why I picked the
war,
the Navy.
The countries we're already at war.
Yeah,
Vietnam is rolling.
It's in the 60s.
You're at what age now?
I'm 18, 19. Yeah.
So you decided.
I think when I signed up, I was actually 17 because my mom had to sign me up. Yeah. So I was the war. The country was at war, and I'm like that. Back then we had a draft number. So, and I don't even know what my draft number was, or if it even got to that point. So I think I signed up prior to that, to be honest with you. So I just didn't know. I knew I didn't want to go to Vietnam and get shot at.
Yeah.
So
I picked
the Navy.
Hope they didn't blow me out of the water.
Well,
but at least I wanted to get shot at.
Again, you're 18, 19 years old. Do you really? We don't know. I mean, kids just don't think about that. I didn't think about that stuff. So.
Right. So when I was 17, so I graduated high school at 17, and they had a recruiter come in.
Yep.
Like they do, you know what I mean? And you get all like you're out of your mind. You're like, okay, cool, what do I get? You get this, you get that. You go, and of course, when I was 17, we weren't at war.
Right.
And there was certainly no even, in my opinion, I still haven't seen it, any possibility to have another Vietnam kind of deal. The war would be different and be fought differently. And but I was like, and I was 17 and all kinds of fucked up. So I was like, you know what? So I went to Connecticut Army, took my ASVAB test, I think.
Yep.
And I remember I said to my mother, who, she, remembers what she remembers, and she's like, she's Grace. And I said, I want to join, I want to be a Marine. That's what I want to do. And it's funny because she's like, no, absolutely not. You're not joining the military. And I was like, well, I bet you, because when I used to be mad at you growing up, I used to always call you Larry and not Father, which is really disrespectful. So I really apologize for that. But I did it for way too long. And then I got
a story about that too. So
okay, good. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear these.
Okay.
So I said,
you might have to remind me though.
What? You're going through sterility or senility. So I got to make sure I don't want you lose track of your thoughts over here. Definitely not your performance, but your thoughts. You know what I mean? So, and I was like, he'll sign for me. And she's like, no, he won't. And it was funny. It's like the only time she was ever like adamant about something. She was always very, and I was like, why? She's like, just because.
She said I wouldn't sign for you?
No, she didn't want me to. She
didn't want you to go.
Yeah, she knew you would. But she meant you're not going to go, you're not asking him anything.
Okay.
Like I'm letting you know that that's not happening.
Why didn't you?
You're going to go to college. She wanted me to go to college. Yeah. She wanted me to get a degree. And
you were playing baseball.
I was playing baseball. And then that was my deal. I'm like, I'll go to college to play baseball. So I'm fine with that. And then I think after that, I don't know that I really wanted to stop drinking and using drugs. It seemed like that was at 18, 19, a better, unfortunately, path that I thought at that time. So when you look at you went to military, you stayed out here because you met my mom, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I met your mom, and I knew I didn't want to go back to Iowa and be a farmer.
Okay, so you grew up on a farm.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm, had my fill of that, and worked for my grandfather since I was probably 8, 9 years of age.
How many siblings did you have growing up?
I have, there was 11 of us. One died at birth, so it was actually 12 of us.
How many of those siblings do you think thought the same way as you? I don't want to be a farmer. Because a lot of them stayed I don't want to be a farmer.
Most of them did not because they stayed there and became farmers.
Right. So most of them believe.
Like Lance,
most of them,
Lyle.
they're like, I'm just going to. This is my deal, my life. I'm going to repeat what.
And they wanted to stay in the area.
Got it.
Basically, is what they wanted to do. They wanted to stay in Iowa or Nebraska. Lyle lives in Nebraska and stuff. So
was it because you wanted to make more money? Was it because you didn't want to work 15-hour days?
I just didn't want to be a farmer because that was way too hard to work for me. And I'll be honest with you. So. It was an escape for me to not go back, to get out and to not go back and get into that rut that I would have probably gotten into.
How were your parents and your grandparents or grandfather when they knew you didn't want to be a farmer? Because obviously they knew you didn't.
Back then, because military was so important, and the Vietnam War was going on and stuff like that. Out there, it's really a lot different than it is in Connecticut or in this area. Very what's the word there? Not diplomatic, but it's very very into
patriotism.
Patriotism, exactly. So it was very important for people there out there in the Midwest to be patriotic.
Got it.
And I think my mother took me down, and I signed up when I was 17 for the Navy. I don't even know if my father, because I had a pretty bad childhood.
How would you explain
with my
your
father?
Childhood, if you don't mind me asking?
What's that?
How would you explain your childhood, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I had a father that was pretty ruthless and would hit us a lot and stuff like that. But like I keep telling my sister Linda, who's still alive out in Iowa, thank God. Hey, we made it through.
Amen.
You know what I mean? So our father, beat us, a few times. But we made it through, to live our lives, and we didn't kill anybody. I mean, we didn't hurt anybody.
Not yet.
Well,
you ain't killed anybody yet.
Not yet. So, I mean, when you and Matt were growing up, I mean, you got more than one or two, backhands from me.
You got plenty.
Yeah, you got
I
plenty.
probably deserved them.
And that'd be my feeling too, that you absolutely deserved them. So, but We grew up.
You know what else I think, and this is interesting to me. You think like there's a lot of things there's things that we try to change about our families on some level.
Yep.
Right? Like we might go like, we went through this, but then I don't want to do it that. You know what I mean? Like there's things, so you like, because I can tell you the first time I went to Iowa, I went with you, my brother, and I believe my mother's brother.
Yeah.
Was Doug there?
That was Doug, yeah.
When y'all
Doug went out there one time, I'm not really
maybe
sure.
Maybe it wasn't that, because I thought I'd never been there, I don't think, and we got there, and all of a sudden, like, this brawl breaks out between everybody.
Yeah.
And it was pretty brutal. And I remember looking at my brother, and I was like, this, and I'm being honest with you, and I might have been like 8 or something like that. And I'm like, dude, this is really cool. Like, really cool. And I remember my grandfather, your father, because he was there, and my grandmother, who were definitely not touchy-feely in any capacity. They were, I mean, I thought they loved me, but I was just kind of like, you know, and I was a grandkid, so they weren't, like, disciplining me in that way. Y'all took care. But I remember him looking at me and looking at my brother. And I was like, I don't want to go outside and get in the fight because I was 8.
This is my
your
father. My father, okay.
And I remember thinking, this is weird, but I remember thinking, like, I knew he was tough. That I knew.
Yeah.
Whether I'm right, that's what I felt as a young kid. And I was like, I want him to respect me. You know what I mean? And I wasn't scared because y'all are fighting each other. Like, that didn't bother me at all. And then Lonnie, because he's too big and bad, is out there like a Neanderthal. I did know 2 things. I wanted my grandfather to respect me, and I didn't want to fight Lonnie, really, probably in my life. Like, you know, he's a lot older now, but I was like, you know, but I remember thinking like, I don't know, I felt, this doesn't sound really weird, but this weird comfort that, like, I didn't know why you're all fighting, didn't really care, but, like, these things were happening, and, like, that's kind of part of life, too. Like, it's just kind of like, that kind of is what happens in life. You know, you
just felt protected, basically. Is that
no? I felt like that seemed to be remotely okay and normal. Like that didn't seem weird to me. It seemed like combat. It seemed like
what was out there, to be honest.
It was, and I seemed like I'm cool with that. And I think part of me too, because you and my mom split up when I was 6, 7, somewhere in that ball. 8, I don't know what it was.
I was going to say 8 to 10, probably.
Maybe we were just out there right after that happened or something.
Yep.
But I was just like, and I think at being raised by my mom, because my mom raised me the majority of the time, I was like, I wanted to be tough. You know, I wanted to be tough. And I was watching, and I was like, dude, that actually looks like it's kind of fun.
Yep.
Not at 8 to do it with these grown men, but like that. But I just remember, I'll never forget that. And it's funny about childhood, because people always tell me they remember everything about their childhood. If you do, you're a better person than me. I remember very few things. And then even when people tell me about it, I don't remember it. So it's not like, if you tell me about something 9 times, I don't remember it as my memory. I remember certain things in my life, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
And I remember when I went out there to live with Leonard, who's now passed away.
Yep.
God rest his soul. And spent a week or something working on the farm with them.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I learned too. I didn't grow up on a farm, but I didn't want to be a farmer either. and I you know, I think for me it was,
learned other things from Leonard too. So
yeah, we got high.
We probably won't talk about that.
We're not allowed to talk about that. Is that against?
Oh
the rules?
no, that's fine.
We got high a lot.
Yeah,
we got high a lot. He and I got so high one day, and he's like, go out in the middle of the cornfield and find the pump.
Yeah.
And I'm like all excited. I'm high as a fucking kite. And I was like 14, 15, somewhere in that ballpark. I don't know. And I mean, I'm fucking lit. And like I thought I smoked a lot of weed. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but they're good at farming because this is different kind of weed. And I'm walking, and after like the first 20 minutes, I'm like, dude, there's no pump out here anywhere. Then I can hear them beeping the horn.
You get lost too.
Yo, you walk for like and I probably was only out there for an hour and a half, but it felt like 2.5 days. And I'm finally like yelling, like, "Yo, where the fuck are you?" And you can't see because you're going through it, and the corn's higher than you. Well, the funny thing is, when he picked me up at the airport, he brought me to the hog whatever it was, the refinery.
Yep.
And he didn't say much to me when he picked me up.
Leonard, you're talking?
Yeah, so I don't know if he's just doing it to be tough or be a prick or make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I was acting up. That's why I went out there. And we get out of the truck, and he's like, all right, we're going inside. He's like, take your clothes off. And I'm like, I ain't taking my fucking clothes off. Like, that's not happening. There's a lot of things. He's like, he throws me his rubber suits. Take your clothes off. He said, and rinse off and put that on so you don't get the hog sick.
Yeah.
So you worry about me getting hog sick.
Yeah.
And so I was going through and I was like, what do I do? And he's like, pick those slats where they just like go to the bathroom where there's cracked slats. Yep. And I'm like, all right.
That's where they shit.
They're shit. So the next day I'm out there and him and Lance pick me up and hold me over it. And they're laughing and they're like, dude, you remember that kid who died? Because he fell in there, and if you fall in, you'll definitely die because obviously you'll suffocate. You can't swim through all that shit. It's deeper. How deep is it, Leonard? And he's like, oh, God, it's like 30 feet. I don't know how deep it was. It might have been a foot. I don't know. But I'm, like, convinced I'm going to die.
You didn't care.
No, and I'm like, dude, and I'm trying to be all big and bad. And I'm like, dude, let me go. Go ahead and drop me. And they're like, okay, sir. I'm like, I ain't saying that again. No, don't drop me. Just let me out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you know what's funny is through you know, I think for me, it's easy for us to pick our lives. It's just like I don't believe if you had a really hard life that you're going to be innately successful, or if you were. I think you make what you make out of life.
Exactly.
I really do. I think that so when people are like, oh my God, you went through all this, it makes sense that you're successful.
Well, that's an excuse.
Correct.
It's an excuse.
But I don't think it's a reason for me working hard and being successful. And had I not done it, it wouldn't have been an excuse. Just like people go like, well, he or she was given a lot. That doesn't. They still choose their lot in life, right? That's what we talk about on this podcast all the time, and that's part of what we want to do, because one of the struggles for me in my world, this is a new world for this whole podcast deal and mentorship and sales and training, is weirdly enough, when I grew up, the things I did, nobody wanted to they didn't want to get arrested. Yep. Like I got arrested how many times? Way too many times. Way too many times. And it's funny or not funny because we weren't proud of that. But in today's world, it's like, but that's my life. Yeah. Whatever I've done, I've done.
Yeah.
If I did something when I was drinking that offended you,
I
can't change it. And I am sorry. I've had people I've apologized to, and they're like, well, I don't accept your apology. Yeah. Well, you know what? Fuck you very much then. And I'm sober now. Exactly. And fuck you. You know what I mean? That's not part of 12 steps. Yeah. I tried. Like, screw you. I'm glad I kicked your ass. I should have kicked it again. Yeah. Sober. But that's how I just may. And I just fucking might. Exactly. Today. You know? And, but I think that we find all these things in life and we forget about the life lessons we learn. And it's funny that those are the things I remember. Right. I remember them. I remember the bales of hay. You know how I know how heavy they're? Because I was down and they threw them and they hit me with them. Like I would not know how heavy they were. I hadn't picked one up before. But I remember all those things. And throughout the time I was out there, they were speaking about life to me. First of all, making fun of me and people that don't farm for their lack of work ethic, which is fine. And I was always like, no, man, like I can, first of all, I don't want to do this, but I can do it. That was kind of my thing. Like, I don't want to do it. Like, I used to have a garage for years, Eagleville, and I would work there. And I remember one summer.
Well, work is, we may not call it work, but go ahead. No, go right ahead.
I actually worked hard some days I was there. Some days I did not. I don't even know what the hell I was doing half the time.
You killed a lot of snakes, that's all I know.
No, you gave me a sickle, told me to go on the hill and cut weeds down for a whole summer, and I got done, felt so accomplished. And I was like, well, it's all done. You're
God, how the stories change.
What happened? Tell me the story about the weeds.
Well, you were out there cutting
for
weeds.
What? For what purpose?
Because there was a hill, and I wanted to clean the hill. Okay, because I had a big hill out back.
Because you wanted me to be out there working, which I'm okay with. But was there any purpose to what I was doing?
No, exactly.
that's what I'm talking
100%.
about.
Like, it was just a job, you know?
Correct.
A job.
Exactly.
So, you know?
You know what's funny is
and you found a snake, and you run like a scared little fucking cat.
First of all, I don't run very fast. That thing was.
But you did.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie to you. That thing kept going and going and going on my feet, and I'm like, yo, I better go off my feet soon. And I ain't afraid to tell you. I was like, I'm out of here. And of course, I convinced myself because it was black that it was like poisonous. It was gonna fucking kill me. And then I remember I went inside to those guys, and those guys
ran pretty fast back in that day.
Yeah, I was pretty quick back then. I remember Walt. I think it was Walt.
Yes.
He finally said to me
Walt
one day.
Hovey.
Yeah, he said to me one day. He goes, "You not even smart enough to understand what's going on, are you?" I was like, "With what?" He said, "He's got you up there cleaning on the hill because you're useless in here." He goes, "That grass and weeds are just going to grow back next spring." I was like, "Fuck you, Walt," you know. So, yeah, I used to.
You probably didn't really say that though, because Walt
was a badass.
Walt was a badass.
Yeah,
he was a badass.
No, I said something like, "Makes sense."
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was my boy. That's how I would get myself get indoctrinated.
And he probably smoked.
He smoked
weed.
Yeah, I used to bring a lot of weed into them. That's my best paying job. I got paid more to bring weed into them than I did with what you paid me. So it was a good job in both ways. All right, so in the military, what was your first job outside the military? Left the military.
My first job, that's back when I was with Kenny Champagne, and I think I might have sold vacuum cleaners.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Vacuum cleaners.
For who? Door to door?
It was
Kirby?
Kirby.
You sold Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Yep, I sold Kirby vacuum.
You and Kenny sold Kirby vacuum cleaners.
Yes, he was like. Then I got into the finance part of it because I went into household finance back then, HFC, and I got a job at HFC.
So you sold vacuums door to door.
Well, yeah, we sold.
For how long?
I'm going to say probably not for
probably
not for a long time. Probably maybe 6 months,
six
months. You know.
And then
I got a job. I think at HFC again. I don't remember a lot of my previous time.
You were drunk a lot.
Well, I was drunk a lot.
But it's also a long time. It's also a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't help our memories. So how did you get? How did you get in the finance deal? Do you have any idea? Like because you went to high school, no education, right?
No.
High school, Navy.
No, Navy. Yep.
Okay. So how did?
Little bit of college once I got out of the with the GI Bill. That's basically why I went back to school, was for the GI Bill. But I got into the finance part because again, Kenny Champagne, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
He I think he hired and fired me like 3 or 4 times. So, every time there was a better job coming up for him, he would end up trying to figure out a way to get rid of me. So, but anyway, Kenny and I have been friends for 40, 50 years.
So you got into finance.
Yes.
Then did you work at a bank?
I worked at Hartford National Bank, actually.
Got it.
Okay.
In what capacity there? Lending or?
Yes, lending, and as a branch manager. And I went to Deep River National out in Westbrook. I was the branch manager. Didn't know a damn thing about it. Couldn't count. I could count money, but I couldn't count. I couldn't do anything. But they made me a branch manager. So, and I did a lot of lending. Okay. Did a lot of approvals for loans and stuff like that. So.
How'd you get in the car business?
The car business was pretty much by accident in the late 70s because they were hiring F&I guys, finance and insurance guys. By the way, I do have my insurance license.
Do you? You want to sell some insurance?
I don't want to sell insurance.
Sure. If you do, let me know.
I'm good.
You're keeping your options open to make some extra money.
But that's probably expired. So, but anyway, so I had to get the insurance license, F&I, and I ended up leaving a bank job that I was making $15,000 a year.
What year?
1978.
Got it.
Something like that. You were very, very young. You were definitely born at that time, but you were very
6
young.
years old. Yeah.
But in the first year I worked at Butler Chevrolet in New London. The old Butler Chevrolet.
Which is now MJ Sullivan.
MJ Sullivan, and I ended up making about $32,000. So I went. I over double my salary, and of course, once you get into the car business and you get hooked, you can almost never get out of it. So, and I made a lot of money in the car business.
Got it.
I blew a lot, but I made a lot of money.
Is that why you say people get hooked? The money's just too good.
Well, it's once you you get hooked because of the money.
Culture of guys, culture of dealers, just purely the money.
To me, it was about the money.
Got it.
Because the drugs and the alcoholism and all this stuff, that was all basically with the car business, as it was in a lot of other industries. So, but you just kind of get hooked on the whole deal. So,
how long were you in the car business for?
Well, I ended up staying in the car business because then I went and after me and your mother got divorced, I went out and I went out and I was going to start my own car rental business. Mm-hmm. And I went out and I borrowed probably the last $1,000 I had went to the auction, bought my first vehicle.
So you borrowed $1,000 from who?
From my credit card.
Credit card.
From
So
my,
you grabbed
from my
the
credit
last
card.
part you can get out of your credit card is $1,000.
Yeah.
You went to the auction, bought a car.
Went to the auction, bought a car. Already had a customer for it come back, and I started my rent to own, my business. So, and I was doing that from the beginning.
So here's the thing. You think about this. First of all, the vacuum cleaner thing I didn't know, door to door. So sales. And then, like when I launched the insurance company, I had about $1,000. Then we got a credit card. I use all leads. And there's so many people. It's funny because everybody, I always say, everybody wants to get rich till they go to work.
Right.
And then everybody's good till they get punched in the face.
Exactly.
Like everybody's good because you know what? You could have gone and bought that car, and it could have been a lemon.
Yep.
Like you could have bought it, could have brought it back. Yep. Went to give it to the guy. Now, trust and believe, if he paid for it, you weren't taking it back.
Yeah.
I already know that right now.
Yeah.
And but it's one of those things where you got to that point where it's like, dude, I have my back's against the wall.
Yeah.
Did you ever, again, when did you decide in the car business, hey, I want to do this for myself? Like, what hit you were like, dude, I want to do my own thing.
That I wanted
my own thing. I want to do my own business, entrepreneur.
Do what?
I want to work for me. Whatever it happened to be. When did you decide after all these jobs?
Well, I was working for the dealership in Willimantic, and I worked for them almost a year. Me and your mom were getting divorced, and I ended up having to go down to New London for the final divorce thing, and I ended up getting fired probably a week after that.
Wow.
And I was working for Stephen World of Wheels they're out in the Bristol area. So, but I got fired, and then I'm saying, well, then I'm like, okay, I got choices. I could either go get another job, or I could start my own business. That's when I started my quality automotive, the rental business.
So when we were growing up, and again, I don't know because people always ask, like, I can't because again, try to remember it. I'm like, I don't really know. I just did stuff like that to survive. Like, okay, I have this, I have that. I'm have a couple kids, but being now this year, if somebody would have said to you when I was 16, 17, actually when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, what did you think I'd end up doing in my life?
What did I think you would end up doing?
Honestly, good or bad.
I thought you might be arrested for something serious, to be honest.
Spend time in prison for a while.
Well, probably. Yeah. So, because you were a pretty rough dude, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Remember
when you showed up at the police department and picked me? This guy got arrested one day on the way to a baseball game, and
a case of beer in the trunk.
Yeah, fake IDs and weed, and you know. So the cop said to me, "So I'm in my. This is not nice. I should not have done this. This is a disclaimer. It's not nice."
And the guy, disclaimer?
Yes, and the guy in the cell next to me was crying. He was just crying. So I said some things to him I probably shouldn't have said. You know what I mean? And the cop come in and he's like, he cussing me out. And I'm like, dude, whatever. I'm like, why don't you let me out of here and I'll go in there and put him out of his misery. You want him to shut up? Yeah. Let me out. Yeah. Let me in there with him. Don't arrest me again. Yeah. And I'll do it. So he goes, nope, I got one better for you. I said, my mom's here to pick me up. He goes, nope, your father. And I was like, there's no way he's here. And then I remembered the game I was supposed to be at was right up the street.
Stonington,
and somebody must have told on me. So you thought
the coach did. Your coach.
Coach is a rat.
He come out and said, hey, you might want to go down to the police station. Your son got arrested. I said, no, that doesn't surprise me. So
what else is new?
So I went down to the police station, and basically I walk in, and I told the cop, I says,
keep him.
Keep him. Let him fucking. What am I going to do?
I don't care.
Hey, your mom's going crazy, and and it's like.
She was great. She'd show up and be like, "Were the handcuffs too tight?" I'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like, she's like, "That's just not even right." So why'd you get arrested? I'm like, "No reason. Obviously, they just arrested me. I don't even know what they arrested me for. I have no idea." So it's a much better option when she showed up, no doubt. But then they did release me.
They're
like, we don't want to deal with this guy either. All right, so are you surprised that I didn't end up in prison and then I've been remotely a little bit successful?
I was hoping.
Yeah, I know
being
that.
your
I don't
father,
think you were willing to bet against me.
That you wouldn't do something, really bad and get sent to prison. So I have to even say that when you guys are young again, back in my drinking days, so. My mind's kind of foggy, like you said. So, I don't think I thought you'd end up in jail because you and Matt both you guys were really, really good baseball players, and I figured you'd probably end up going some college. I mean, I think Matty still holds a record for having like 5 years at a junior college or something.
He's one of the leaders.
He's one of the leaders. So, but then you got your college, for Rhode Island Community College or whatever.
CCRI.
Yep. So CCRI. So
and transferred to Eastern.
Yep. And you went to Eastern, and you told Holowally, kiss your ass or something, and he told you to pick up the stuff and get out of there.
A lot of stupid shit.
Yeah.
It was out of control, and I wish I could undo that. So, well, first of all, we're gonna do this again.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the best episodes we had.
Yeah.
I do appreciate you getting on, and I don't say it much, but I do love you. I need you to know that.
You know I love you.
I know you do. Believe me. And hey, I'm gonna tell you something. And this is a different episode, but if you're sitting around out there, because we had gone a while, we hadn't talked.
Yeah, exactly.
In a minute.
Yeah.
And I remember picking up the phone.
You hated me.
You might have hated me too. I don't know if I hate. Well, that's fair. I may have.
That's a strong word.
I don't think I hated you. I disliked you.
Yeah, you definitely disliked.
Definitely disliked certain things. Disliked you. But it was like, you're my father.
Yeah.
You are. That's it. We got one.
Yeah.
Like your son. Like, dude, pride comes before the fall.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, dude, I should call this dude. Like, why am I not going to call him up? And you said something to me at the end of the conversation. You're like, I really appreciate you calling me. Like, and it said something like, I don't know if I would have done that, if I would have called you first. And I was like, and you complimented me.
Yep.
And I was like, wow. And I hung up. So anyway, you can never get that time back, but we work hard to get it back.
Yeah.
And we have a great relationship now. And if a fight breaks out, I got your back.
Yeah.
I'm going to fuck somebody up. But if I get arrested, don't come down and tell them to keep me in there post the fucking bond, because you're not teaching anybody a lesson.
I'm not so sure I'll do that.
Hey, guys, I'm telling you, there's a lot of lessons here. Guys been around for a while. It was good information. I learned a lot today. Shit, 70% of it I didn't even know. And but there's things to learn. There's lessons to take away. There's relationships to build, and there's lives to lead. And you can't get better when you're bitter. You just can't. So appreciate you, man. You killed it. We're going to make you famous. He'll be on Joe Rogan next, probably by reaching out and be like, we get Larry Mike on there. So, guys, thanks for jumping on the episode of Punch Me in the Face. Like, subscribe, share. We need more people to see this stuff because it's actually real, and this is actually background, and it actually happened, and we've been through stuff. I've been through things you're going through, and when people are trying to sell you on the crap and they haven't been, because that's what happens in our industry. I know it's hard for you to believe. The guy's like, one day I was a drug dealer and I had 70 stitches. Like, bitch, no, you didn't. You never been in a fight in your life. You didn't deal with drugs, which is okay. You shouldn't lie about dealing drugs. You shouldn't be proud of it or not proud of it, but you should not lie about your background because it's not who you are. So we appreciate y'all, and thank you for serving today. Thank you for your service. I mean it.
Thank you.
You got it, man.
Love you, man.
Love you too, bud.